So this webinar will be recorded, and I will send out the recording and the slide deck at the end or a little bit after the end of the webinar. And again, just so wonderful to have you here to explore this idea of self-compassion, how it's related to resilience, what we call the heart of resilience, which happens to also be the name of our new book, just coming out in August. I'm the author with my business colleague, Mary McCoy Thompson. And if you're interested in that book, you can go to our website and pre-order it now. My name is Chuck Fisher. I'm one of the founders of Dovetail Learning, a nonprofit that teaches resilience to educators, healthcare providers, and many, many others, which is such a joy to teach because it's such a powerful lens into how to be human. We're going to use that lens today to explore self-compassion. Just a little more about me. I am also a transpersonal psychologist, which is the study of human well-being from cross-cultural lenses, including mind, body, and spirit. I'm a black belt in Aikido, which is the peaceful martial art, and I love my life. I love what I get to do. So please join me on this journey. Just a touchstone on Dovetail. Our mission is about strengthening resilience in both adults and children. Right now, we're focused on adults because the power of adult resilience is significant to the ability for children to gain their own resilience, all in service of a kind, connected world. Our stand is to have a world in which everyone learns how to be the best possible version of themselves. It's definitely my lifelong journey, and I may share some of that during this webinar. But it really is the journey of development, the journey of the human condition. We all have an impulse in us to be good, to be better than we are, actually. And we'll talk about that and its relationship to self-compassion. This is a fairly brief webinar, and I have quite a bit packed into it. So we're going to cover presencing our own resilience. We'll look at a definition of self-compassion, what that is. We'll put it in the context of the We Are Resilient approach, which is what we teach here at Dovetail. We'll look at why self-compassion can be difficult, and we'll do that through the model of We Are Resilient. And then look right at the center of this whole thing, which will really be the context for the whole webinar, the heart of resilience. So to begin, we always like to walk our talk and begin with a presencing practice. Now, this is a practice itself in resilience. So whether you're here live right now or watching this webinar later, I invite you to pause, put your feet down, set aside anything that could be distracting. And we'll just take 30 seconds and presence our own state of being. I'll ring this bell to begin and then to end, and invite us all to just go inside and notice what you notice about yourself, your state of being, level of calmness or anxiety, the level of rest or rejuvenation. Just attend to the sensations in your body and notice what you notice. Maybe rest for a moment in your breath. Just feeling the rise and the fall. And with this bell, open your eyes and come back to presence this webinar. And just notice what you notice. We use the word noticing as a reference for mindful awareness. Awareness of what's inside, awareness what's outside, awareness of how we are. And most often what we find is a sense of whether it could be openness, presence, being curious, just knowing we're here, feeling a sense of fullness, interest, maybe distraction, could be happy to be here, could be exhausted, overwhelmed, all the many conditions that we bring to every moment, which is just a marker around our resilience. And we'll look specifically at resilience, but just noticing that we're always shifting. We're on balance, we're off balance, we're hard on ourselves, we're kind to ourselves. There's a continuing condition of movement in our sense of ourselves, even our awareness of ourselves, and definitely related to our self-compassion. So let's look straight at self-compassion for a minute. This comes from an article by Dr. Emma Seppala, who's with Stanford C-Care, Center for Compassion, Altruistic Research and Education. And she just puts it right in the palm of our hand. First, by just honoring and seeing that we're all very self-critical. I mean, who here does not have a very well-developed self-critic? We're hard on ourselves, and sometimes we think that's good. We think that pushing ourselves, we have to work hard. I have a lifetime of being hyper vigilant around being right on things and being on and getting things right and being a good person, and it's exhausting to work so hard. It's a source of our perfectionism. And she goes on to say, we have this mistaken thinking that being competitive and pushing is actually helpful for success. And the research points to something completely different. It's proving this wrong. Most of us don't even consider how our self-criticalness and competitive attitudes get in the way of our ability to be well, be successful, and certainly to be resilient and self-compassionate. So she goes on to define, and I'll just put this right in here, self-compassion is about treating ourselves as we would a friend. Being more mindful and understanding of our situation in the context of our life experience, the larger human experience. We get so narrow, like we're just inside of our life. We have this space around us and our experience in this space, and putting it in the context of the larger world is required for self-compassion. And she goes on to say, when we can be more understanding and gentler, identify less with the emotions that surround our mistakes. So there it is right there. The emotions. We're going to talk a lot about emotions and the power of emotions, and how our emotions are the glue that hold us together, but they're also the wind that buffets us about, positive or negative. And we'll often get identified with emotions surrounding our mistakes. Oh, I feel so bad. I did that wrong, or I get stuck in this whole sense of needing to be right or needing to be perfect. And when I don't measure up to the mark, oh boy, can I be hard on myself. My life built an incredibly strong inner critic, and a big part of my life has been learning how to undo that. Understanding that failure is a normal part of the larger human experience, not just people's experience, my experience, your experience, but the human condition, the experience, um, and how we become stronger and more successful in the long run. So, going just a little deeper, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who's on the board of the World Religious Contemplatives, Vedic, has degrees in Vedic literature and physics, of all things, a leader in the Asian world, states that the state of our life depends on the state of our mind. The state of our life, how we experience our life, how it occurs to us, how we respond to it, depends on the state of our mind. The state of our mind. So that's going to be a big part of what we're looking at today is the state of our mind. What does that have to do with our own personal resilience? What does it have to do with self-compassion? Let's connect the dots. So to do that, I'm going to go straight to Kristen Neff's work. I think she's University of Texas, world leader in the research on self-compassion. Notice I have personal resilience related to self-compassion. It's a framework we use at Dovetail Learning in our We Are Resilient approach. And we're going to look at personal resilience and relational resilience closely. And what Kristen Neff says is our ability to have personal resilience comes through this process of developing self-compassion, moving from that inner critic to a place of kindness, moving from, oh, it's just about me and I'm walking through my life like everything's about me, what happens with my life partner, my wife, if something happens, it's about me or my kids or my colleagues or my work, or we're so egocentric. It's just part of human nature. But if we can broaden that to holding ourselves in this precious context of common humanity, how are we in relationship to how people are anywhere, everywhere? I mentioned that my doctorate is in transpersonal psychology, which the core of it is the study of spiritual development through people in all dimensions of life, Eastern, Western, Oceanic, Native. We have a central common journey that we're on, which is toward self-understanding, self-compassion, self-love, which allows us to then connect to the plight of all people. And Kristen Neff in her research talks about these three components: self-criticism, moving that to kindness, our individualism to common humanity, and our self-absorption, which is connected to our individualism, to a process of mindfulness, the state of our mind, opening our mind to some freedom beyond what I'll call the thinking mind. And we'll look at that a little bit today in our precious 30 minutes, which is already cut down to 15. I better speed up here. So putting this all in the context of the We Are Resilient approach, an approach to well-being, we love the definition that Anne Maston wrote about in Ordinary Magic, that resilience is an ordinary magic. It's not rare or special. It is the magic of being human. We humans get buffeted about, we get thrown off balance, and we come back. Resilience is about bouncing back. So what is the quality of our ability to bounce back? The quality of getting thrown off, because we will always get thrown off our whole life, no matter how personally developed or spiritually developed we get, we're still going to get thrown off. It's how quickly and how fundamentally we can come back to center line, being in balance. And inside of this approach that we've built at Dovetail Learning called We Are Resilient, we have 5 types of resilience. If you're not new to Dovetail, you'll recognize this. And just rest in the wisdom of repetition, because repetition builds relevance. So as we look at these types of resilience, starting on the left with our reactive resilience, the reactive patterns that we have emotionally, how that impacts our personal resilience, which is that ability to bounce back, to come to center, to be in balance, which is affected by our ability to use resilient mindsets. All of that pours into our relational resilience, how we show up in relationship with another person. And all of that pours into how we show up in relationship to groups, families, teammates, community, the world. And all of that both impacts and is impacted by what we call cultural resilience, the resilience that is passed down intergenerationally over and over again, which gives us so much about how we view the world. So one more lens into this approach, and then we'll move on into self-compassion. The approach simply has these 3 parts: the mindsets, the patterns, which include cultural patterns and protective patterns, and 3 sets of skills, which we illuminate and distinguish, centering, how to be centered, how to center ourselves, how to connect with someone else, and how to collaborate together. Personal, relational, and group resilience. So let's look at self-compassion through this lens, the lens of our self-concept and how it exists in a social context. My self-concept doesn't exist outside of a social context. It's how I was brought up, relate, and how my sense of belonging and whether I feel lovable, whether I think I can contribute, all those things are key to resilience. Bonnie Bernard, one of the greatest researchers in resilience, says contribution is one of our greatest assets for resilience. If we feel like we've contributed, if we're being a good person to help someone else, to help the plight of the human condition. So being who we are is cause in the matter. It's cause in the matter of our own resilience. Our state of being is cause in the matter of how life is occurring to us. Our state of resilience is cause in the matter of how everyone else around us feels. Our inner music impacts everyone else. This little icon on the left, the practice model coach, is just a way that we talk about how to gain these things. First, we have to practice them. In this case, we're modeling our inner music, our ability to be centered, and how that impacts us, how it impacts our self-compassion as well. So just we'll go through the things that pull us off, our stress reactions, and we lose our cool. Something happens, we get reactive, we have a peak experience. It's an emotional experience. Remember, emotion is the glue inside of us. It literally is the cellular particles that hold everything together. we can lose our cool. We can get better at it. We can be more self-compassionate. Oh, I lost my cool. Okay, well, I get it. I can notice my reactive patterns. I can use my resilience mindsets of wondering and assessing and choose a resilience skill. I can start fresh by staying in the zone. Our state of being, as I said at the very beginning, is always going up and down, and it's always emotional. So if we bring that into our self-compassion, we can just go to, okay, I'm an emotional being. It's always present in me. Oren J. Sofer, a wonderful Buddhist teacher, says how we handle emotions, our own and others, can make or break a day, a relationship. Our body, we'll look a little bit at the research on body, mind, spirit. Bodies get so broken by emotions, difficult emotions, and our reactive patterns also. And I'm going to go through this very quickly. If you haven't seen it before, do go to our website, all free downloadable material on this approach, which starts with protective patterns, how we react to the world through these 6 ways of distrusting and being hyper vigilant, hyper caretaking, avoiding, defending, attacking. All things that emerge when we feel unsafe or vulnerable. Distrusting is an inside thing. It's an inside movement. Am I doubting myself or others? Hypervigilance is an outside movement. Am I on constant high alert to what's happening around me? Things in the world, on the news, someone's health, my own health, the state of my children, colleagues, how are they thinking about me? How am I thinking about them? All of this, we just live in this. So can be toxic to be hypervigilant. Hyper caretaking is also externally oriented. Do I over prioritize what others need, feel like a victim, and at the expense of myself? Avoiding is an internal movement. How can I move myself away? If you're aware at all of attachment theory, avoidant attachment is one of the key attachment styles. I have avoidant attachment, so I tend to want to just step back and get away from things, which of course is helpful. All of these things are super helpful. And then defending and attacking, again, internal, external, or if someone comes after me, I'm gonna feel criticized or judged. There's my self-concept right there. I may not be being criticized or judged, or if I am being criticized or judged, it doesn't have anything to do with me, although there could be a part that's true, really about what someone else is experiencing about me. And then the protective pattern of attacking, which is the offensive. It really comes from the attachment style of anxious attachment, the 2 main styles outside of normal, or not normal, those are very normal. Attachment causes one to be aggressive. If I have anxious attachment style, it throws me into just wanting to make sure, everything's right, or I'm being seen right, or this, things are, I'll move into aggression first. Exhausting just thinking about it, isn't it? Well, let's go back to the next part of self-compassion. And this comes from the work of Julie Manano. If you don't know her work, it's fabulous. Look up The Secure Relationship online. She's just a master in understanding attachment styles and how they impact how we are, and they impact our compassion, our self-compassion critically. So here's the deal. We all feel badly about ourselves when we don't measure up to our own standards. We live inside of a value system. And if I've crossed the line outside of my own value system, I feel bad about myself. Well, how do I move then to self-compassion? Well, there's another step first, which is that beneath feeling bad about myself, there's a deep grief that I can be that kind of person. Okay, I get defensive with my wife, or I tell her what to do, and I'm, being, difficult. I don't want to do that with the person that I love and cherish the most, but I do it all the time. It's part of the human condition. And deep inside there, if I look closely, there's a deep grief that I'm even being that kind of person. So getting in touch with those feelings, those sensations, what the Buddhists say is going into our emotions and feeling them really is the only way through. It's the way to self-compassion. Because if I push those away, I build up armor in myself, and I keep people out, and I keep myself boxed off. I have to go in through my emotional body deeply to arrive at self-compassion. So take another step here. Oh, I'm definitely going to go over time here. My apologies. If you have to get off at 12:30, of course, do. I'll send you the recording, and I'm going to need a few more minutes. Let's see how quickly I can do this and do it well. I just can't miss cultural resilience. It's such an important part of self-compassion. It informs our worldview. And our cultural resilience comes from all of these parts: community norms, family stories, religious traditions, socioeconomic status, disability construct, racial construct, all of these parts, political affiliation, all of them inform how I experience the world. And they also inform my implicit bias, my learned attitudes, beliefs, and possibilities. Now, a lot of those are my attitudes, beliefs, and possibilities about myself, my self-compassion. My cultural patterns inform the harm that occurs inside me and from me to others, my own fear, despair, and doubt, my own bias and discrimination, and even racism toward myself. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm a white male privileged jerk who is, always stepping on other people's toes. I mean, I have to come to terms with those things. I have to come to terms with the role that a male holds in society, or the role that's been passed down to women intergenerationally through society, the places that we share, the places that we cross each other's boundaries. All of that can allow me to move towards love and hope and trust and diversity, equity, inclusion. So, self-compassion, personal resilience. Every human being has impeccable reasons for being exactly as we are. I do. You do. Everyone you know does. The people on the other side of the political divide, the people on the other side of the world, the other side of the street. We all have this intergenerational transmission of values and beliefs and attitudes that are just built into us. And there, but for the grace of God, go I. And if I really get this, really get it, then I can get to the heart of resilience, self-compassion. Oh, I am this way in the cultural context, the context of being mindful, of having kindness for other people who are different than me, for myself, for being different than I want to be, inside the context of common humanity. Choosing kindness is His Holiness the Dalai Lama's religion. Buddhism actually isn't a religion, it's a way of being. And he talks about kindness. How can I act kindly to myself in any situation, And how can my own kindness to what I'm going through help me? In the splash page for this webinar, I think I overstated, all of the science, but we'll just look at a piece of it. Psychoneuroimmunology shows us that everything that we believe about ourselves, our self-compassion, our inner critic, our mindfulness, our state of being, the state of our mind impacts our neurology, our biology, what hormones are being released, our immune system, our ability to be well. All of it's related. And the heart of it is loving kindness, loving myself. So take 30 seconds and just go inside. Close your eyes if you're open to it. And just receive, take in, integrate the human condition, the greater context within which you live. And for a moment, just shine the light of compassion and kindness into your own heart. And breathe that in. It's easy to bring tears with it, especially when I'm not kind to myself. And with the next out breath, go ahead and open your eyes. And remember that loving myself is the meditation for self-compassion. It is presencing the preciousness of your life and making these shifts from criticism to kindness, individualism to, the context of all of us, self-absorption to, it's about me, to being mindful and opening to all of it, and considering what is your relationship to stress, resilience, and self-compassion. If you want to know more, go to our website. You can download tons of free materials. All of our work is open education resourced. Join a group, a training. We're starting an online course in August. You can purchase materials. You can reach out to me directly, chuck@dovetaillearning.org. As I said, all of our work is an open education resource. It's licensed through Creative Commons. Just means you can use it, you can share it according to the license. Thank you, all of you, for being here today, all of you for witnessing yourselves through our webinars, and I wish you deep self-compassion, self-love on your spiritual journey. Have a wonderful day. And you are so, so welcome.